Welcome everyone back to Beat the Game. This is Beyond the Precon, and this is the next episode. So guys, if you like these videos, please give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment about what you think about this character and the suggestions that I made to go beyond the Precon. If you like it, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to add those in the comments. And please, if you haven't subscribed yet, do so. What are you waiting for? You are watching these videos over and over, so hopefully that goes in. All right, now we're going to talk about my favorite character in this entire game, and it's still from the day one that it was released, and I played after my first game playing this character. I was in love. All right, I knew nothing about this character before. I just played this and I was like, oh my god, she is so fun. All right, so we are talking about Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. Let's take a look at what she is. She is an Inhuman with 5 recovery, a hand size of 6, and 10 hit points. So monster recovery here for 5. And an ability that says Teen Spirit, that you get to discard cards from the top of your deck until you find a Ms. Marvel card. Now, I don't know if you know how powerful that is. Finding a signature card, those are the most powerful cards in your deck. So the fact that you can go to Alter Ego and always have one of those cards to play is bonkers. So good. All right, yes, you're going to go through your deck a little bit faster because you are discarding cards, but it's so good. Now, here it is in hero form. She is Ms. Marvel, and this is like the promo card, so if you haven't seen that one, it's pretty cool. All right, and so yeah, so as Ms. Marvel form, you look at her stats and you go, what? She's a 1/1/1? This is garbage. And then you would miss out on what is this character makes her so unique. The stats don't matter. If you are attacking or thwarting with Ms. Marvel, you are doing something wrong. All right. Unless there's a tough and then you really need to get rid of it. But yeah, you never ever want to attack, defend, or thwart with this character. Ever. That is bad. All right, so what is it? Why? Then what makes her so special? It is her ability called Morphogenetics. So it is a response because after you play an attack, thwart, or defense event, you can exhaust her to bring that event back. Now, any type of recursion, you've seen it at Magic the Gathering, you might have seen it in another cards game, but anytime that you can recur cards, that is what makes this character so powerful. The recursion mechanics. So you can recur your best events over and over and just keep playing them. That is why she is so good. So you exhaust, you do an event, you exhaust, bring back, replay the event. You don't care about her stats. That's what you do with this character. All right, now as Kamala Khan, she has an amazing support team. She has 3 support cards that are very powerful. The first one is Nakia, which is basically a mini helicarrier. It says, exhaust Nakia, reduce the cost of the next card you play by 1 this phase. So I do that in Alter Ego, I flip to hero form, and the next card is still 1 cheaper, which is amazing. And then she's got Amir Khan, which exhausts him to take a card from your discard pile, put it at the bottom of your deck, and then draw a card. So if you do that twice, you can kind of know what you can plan ahead and make that your final deck pass, your final cards before your deck runs out, is going to be a super powerful card. You can put one of her best attack cards. Then you can put down a Nick Fury, and then you put down a double resource. So then you always have that ability to go get those cards. And then you know that when you get to your deck, it's going to be awesome sauce. All right, and then finally you have Bruno Lucarelli, who, if you don't need a card right now, you just put it under him and then save it for later, which is great because after that, what you do is when you are in hero form, you can exhaust him and take up 3 cards that you put under him back to your hand, which will give you an amazing mega turn. Then in hero form, she's got 3 upgrades. The first one, super important, is the suit, which pays for an event using a wild resources. So any type of trigger that needs a specific resource, you're guaranteed to get it once you have that suit down. Then she has 2 amplification effects, What is that? Well, that makes your thwarts better thwarts and attack better attack cards. So shrink, it says after you play an event, you can exhaust shrink to increase the amount of threat that event removes by +2. And the same thing for embiggen. You play an attack event and it deals damage +2. Not only that, if there's more than one instances of damage, then you increase both instances. And I think the easiest way to talk about the easiest card to talk about is it's a card that comes in her bonus cards. It's called Melee. It's 3 damage to an enemy and then 3 damage to another enemy, which if you embiggen it, it's then 5 damage and 5 damage, which is crazy good. All right, now, and then she comes with 3 super powerful attack events, which is Big Hands, which is 2 for 4 damage that you can bring back. So that means you can do, with 1 card, you can attack twice, which is great. So that's 8 damage right there. And then there's the thwart events, which is she's got 3 copies of Sneak By, which removes 3 threat, and then you can bring it back, remove another 3 threat, which means she's good in aggression. She's good as a justice player. And then she's got, which for me is probably her most powerful card, it's the Wiggle Rooms. That means you prevent damage. And how this card works, okay, if you're playing in protection, how this card works is you can play Wiggle Room, you get to exhaust. To bring that Wiggle Room back, you draw another card, and if you want, you can play the Wiggle Room again to make sure that you take no damage. And that's all after the boost card is revealed. Or you can save that, and if the villain attacks you again, you can Wiggle Room again and draw another card, which is super, super solid. All right, and then finally, Red Dagger, which is a crazy good ally that says he's a 2 thwart 2 attack, and if he is defeated, you can spend 2 resources to bring him back to your hand, and he'll deal another 2 damage. So I love that. You're spending 2 resources, but you're doing 2 damage with them. Love it, love it, love it. It's all into the recursion mechanic. So that is what makes her so special. It's not her basic stats. Her stats mean nothing. It's all about events and playing these powerful events over and over. Now let's take a look at her Precon and let's see how we can upgrade that. All right, guys, this is what the Precon looks like. So we got Nova, 3 preemptive strikes, tackles, energy barriers, 2 get behind me, which is a reprint, the 3 double resources, which are reprints, powers of protection, which are reprints, Avengers Mansion, which is a reprint, and then we got Lockjaw, 3 enhanced reflexes, and 3 endurances. All right, so here's a little bit how you want to play the deck if you are just playing with the Precon. All right, one thing you'll want to focus on is those tackles. You'll want to be able to play the tackles using a strength resources, and then stun the villain, and then bring that back, and then come back, and then bring it back, and then you'll be able to stun him again the next turn. So this is one way to work the thing. Every time, or you can go into the Death by 1,000 Cuts with Nova, where you can, every time the villain initiates an attack against you, you can use lightning resource cards in your deck to deal 2 damage, and then you can use cards like Preemptive Strike to cancel his big boost icons when he boosts of 2 or 3. All right, so those are ways to kind of play the deck. And then you have the energy barriers that kind of prevent damage and redirect damage. So a lot of stuff is energy prevention, redirection, kind of focusing a lot on the lightning resources. So that's one way to play this if you're just playing outside in the Precon, just to give you a little strategy on how to play the deck. Now, let's upgrade that Precon and make it 1,000 times better just by switching a few cards. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove double endurance. Unless you're playing in a multiplayer game, you want to get rid of these 2 other extra copies. But if you are playing in a multiplayer game, keep these in and give them to the other players. Really good. If not, get rid of these 2. Too sweet. The other one I would highly recommend, the other cards I would highly recommend to get rid of would be the Preemptive Strikes. Although they're pretty good, for me, they just don't make the cut because there's a better card that I want to show you that's not only going to deck thin your deck, but also help you recur one of your most powerful events. And then finally, I would remove 1 Get Behind Me. Those are the 6 cards that I would remove from her Precon. Now let's take a look at what I would add to her Precon to make it even better. All right, so the first cards I would add is 3 copies of the card Indomitable. Now the reason why is because with the new defense ruling, her most powerful event, which I really think it's going to help her survive, and I've proven this multiple times. If you want to go check out Ms. Marvel Never Go Home video, you will see it's just off the chains. So what you want to do is you want to use Wiggle Room and Indomitable to be able to ready Ms. Marvel. So what you can do is you can use your Wiggle Room on the villain attacks, and then you want to exhaust Ms. Marvel to bring that Wiggle Room back and then draw a card, prevent 3 damage. Now, the villain resolves, okay, perfect. You took 1 damage, you can redirect it with energy barrier, whatever. Then you can trigger Indomitable to ready Ms. Marvel, and then you can play her big hands, and then you can do that, and you still have that Wiggle Room in your hand to really have some fun. So this is one of the cool interactions that I really enjoy with Ms. Marvel in Protection. Now the other card I would that would add to the deck would be Med Team. Now the reason I would add a Med Team is because of Nova. Nova is one of your best allies. He's really fun. He deals 2 damage, and then anytime an enemy attacks, you can use these enhanced reflexes, or you can use a lightning resource in your hand to deal 2 damage to the enemy that's attacking. And if he only has 2 health points, you eliminate the enemy before he actually deals damage, which is awesome sauce. And then the third and final card, it's a 3 of as well, or you can put 2 in a different card. But I would recommend the Emergency card because she has such a strong support team in Alter Ego. You want to take advantage of this. So if the main scheme is low, having copies of Emergency can really have an impact. Now, just to clarify something, Emergency and Wiggle Room do not work together because this is when the villain schemes reduce, and this is remove. So reduce and remove are not the same word, so it doesn't work together. All right, and also it's a hero interrupt, so you wouldn't be able to do that in Alter Ego. But yeah, and if you only want to put 2 emergencies, then I recommend putting in a Black Widow just to be able to cancel the the unfortunate advances if they should occur. So that is, in a nutshell, how I would upgrade her Precon. Now, let's go beyond that. Here, she is amazing for solo play in Aggression and Justice. And let's go take a look at an Aggression build and what hero packs can make her even more brutal, or a Justice build and what hero packs can make the Justice aspect even more insano. Alright guys, so if I was going to upgrade just using the core set and the Ms. Marvel cards, this is what I would do. I would put 3 tack teams, 3 relentless assaults, 3 melees, which is a bonus card that comes in her hero kit, 3 chase them downs. That because the chase them downs, you defeat a minion, you can shrink that for 0 to remove 4 threat from a scheme. Brutal. Hulk and Tigra, and then Endurance, Helicarrier, Avengers Mansion, Lockjaw, Mockingbird, Nick Fury, and the triple resources. So this for me is a good solid aggression build where you will be able to stay in hero form a lot. You'll have always one or 2 blockers. But one thing I will strongly suggest is, even though you are playing aggressive, you do want to flip down to Ms. Marvel as Kamala Khan ability. Keep that threat at 0, flip down. If you're playing a villain like Claw, who's got 2 stages, don't worry about him going to stage 2. That still gives you an ample amount of threat. So that is my aggression build that I suggest. Now let's take a look at some of the hero packs that really take her to the next level. And I'm only going to talk about 2 because you only need 2 to make her even more explosive than she is. All right, the first hero pack, and I think it is no denying that I would get Wasp hero pack the first one. Why? Because the aggression cards and the basic cards that are introduced in her kit are super thematic to the champion's trait, which is very cool. It introduces us to Into the Fray. So this does 6 damage to a minion, and then you remove threat for the amount of excess damage. So if you have a minion at 1, you can remove 5 threat, and then you can remove up to 7 threat and then from a minion. So that's insane if you embiggen that. It's so good. And then you get a card called Surprise Attack because she wants to flip form. So with this one card, you can deal 10 damage for 1. So what's awesome about that is you can surprise attack, use her suit that generates a physical resource to deal 4 damage, embiggen it, do 6 damage, bring it back, and then do another 4 damage because you're still in the response of flipping forms. So that is just broken. So that is the second card that I absolutely love from Wasp. All right, then you get the boot camp. So that means your allies are going to be super, super strong. They're going to give a +1 attack to each of your allies. So when they attack, they're even better. But the most fun cards to go with Ms. Marvel is the Power in All of Us that doubles the resources for a gray, Ironheart, which is also a champion, and Spider-Man Miles Morales, who is also a champion. So you get 6 really fun cards that go really, really well with her kit. All right, now let's take a look at the other hero pack that I would strongly recommend. And it is no surprise, it is the Nova hero pack. So the reason why Nova is so amazing with her is because of this card called Hone Technique, which says if you play an event using a mental, you can increase that amount. So you increase it with the Hone Technique, you embiggen it even, so you can do some really crazy stuff, especially with a card like No Quarter. So No Quarter, if you have a Hone Technique, it's 6, then you can Ms. Marvel it for 8, you can exhaust, bring it back, play it again, and then discard a bunch of events and have more cards in hand. It's just super powerful. And then you have a replacement for the melee. Is my camera being buggy? All right. You have a replacement for melee with the 1x1, which is deal 2 damage to an enemy. And if it defeats that enemy, deal 2 extra damage. If you're playing it with a mental, you do 3 and 3. And if you embiggen it, you do 5 and 5. So for 1, you're doing 10 damage with 1 card. Crazy good. And then you get the Locust, who brings back one of those crazy good attack events. So Nova is, again, there's only 4 cards with the Nova pack, but that is for Ms. Marvel aggression. Now let's take a look at, if you want to build her in Justice, what would I do? All right, guys. So this is what I would do if I was going to build her on the Precon, just with the Justice cards from the core set and her hero kit. I would have Nick Fury, Mockingbird, Lockjaw, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones for allies. I would have 3 concussive blows, which confuse the enemy, which is awesome sauce. If you pay with a physical, you also deal 3 damage. So this would be the money card here, and that comes in her bonus kit as well. 1 for Justice, 2 surveillance teams, interrogation room, endurance, and then helicarrier, Avengers Mansion, 3 emergencies, 2 first aids, and then the double resources of yellow and the 3 double resources. Now, and this would be, the strategy is pretty simple for this deck. Punch the villain with a concussive blow, go down to alter ego, the villain is confused, then get back into the game, and then you'll have enough threat management just to be able to stay in alter ego maybe 1 or 2 turns, just with the allies and stuff like that. Now, if I was going to upgrade that, let's take a look. There's only 1 hero pack and 1 honorary mention for Justice right now. So the only hero pack that you would need if you were going to go in Justice and want to build her in Justice would be the Scarlet Witch hero pack. That's the only one I would go and buy. Why? Because it presents us with a card called Multitasking. So remove 2 threat from a scheme, and if you paid with a mental, remove 2 threat from a different scheme. With the Shrink, it's remove 4 and remove 4. So that is 8 possible threat removal for 1. And then you can do 2 and 2. So that's a total of 12 threat that you can remove off 2. So 2 instances of 6 that you can remove off of 2 different schemes, which is amazeballs. Then you have a card like Turn the Tide, which is a 0 cost event. And after your hero thwarts and removes all the threat from a scheme, deal 3 damage to an enemy. So 0. And then you can embiggen that to make it 5 damage. Just crazy. And then you have an ultimate card called Crisis Averted that you can remove you can remove 6 threat, so 8 threat off the main scheme. So you can have a nasty side scheme with a crisis icon and just use Crisis Averted and just laugh it away, and can remove still 8 threat from the main scheme. And also it presents us a super awesome ally in Speed, and then there's also Wiccan as well in there that can also deal damage while he removes threat. So this would be the only hero pack I would say to focus on if you want to build that. And then the only honorable mention is it's Ant-Man, and that's only because there's a card called Lay Down the Law in his bonus cards. But that is the only reason why, because it says after you change form, remove 3 threat from a scheme, 4 instead if you paid for with a mental. So again, same combo as the aggression one with Wasp, is you can remove 3 threat. So you can 4 threat if you paid with a mental, shrink it, so that's 6 threat, bring it back, pay for a mental, and then remove 10 threat with 1 card. It's so good. It's so good. So there you go, guys. In a nutshell, Ms. Marvel is a very, very powerful character, and she is only going to get better every time they release new events. That's the thing with her. The more events they bring out, the better it is. And I think there's one in, what's it called? It's going to be awesome for multiplayer. I think it's Even the Odds. And I'm not sure if they're going to make the ruling for this, but Ms. Marvel's Shrink with an Even the Odds is for 2, remove, normally it's 1 threat per player from a scheme or from a side scheme. I have to read the card again, but I don't know if with the Shrink it says, so you could increase that, so remove 3 threat per player. That would be insane. So that it would make it a banonkers card with Ms. Marvel. It would be so good. So I think, like I said, I'm not sure about that one. We're going to have to go back to it, but it might be something that is just going to make her even more fantabulous than she is right now. So guys, so that is my Beyond the Precon. I hope this will give you a little bit of insight if you haven't played this character yet. I hope this video will help you play the game and use Ms. Marvel so you can beat the game. Ciao, ciao.